my soul family, welcome to the School of Light and welcome back to the Spiritual Book Club. My name is Christy Ramirez and I'm your soul coach, spiritual influencer, motivational speaker, and teacher here at the school. So we are here on this beautiful sunrise. It is 7 a.m. exactly, and it is a beautiful way to start the week with a dose of spiritual teachings from Jesus, from God, for our journey and having a beautiful day. This is to live a life full of faith, full of love, full of light, with joy, forgiveness, compassion, all these emotions that raise our vibration and make us elevate on this soul journey. And so today is a very powerful day with A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles, we are here with chapter 6 today, and today's a very powerful theme. It is a theme of the crucifixion and what it really meant and the message of fear that it brought. But it was an attack on God through Jesus, right? As there is a spiritual battle between dark and light, but the light came out triumphant at the end with the resurrection, with Jesus' ascension. So this is another message today of hope, of a positive one, that there will be victory if you're dealing with any challenges in life, any obstacles that you need to overcome, any trials that might just be tests, might just be a fortitude for your character. And we need to thank God because we will come out of it alive and that much wiser. And this book, A Course in Miracles, is going to give you all the tools that you need to get to the other side of the light of the tunnel. So come and join me today at christyramirez.com/school to get access to all of these exclusive teachings. Every chapter is about an hour and a half, max 2 hours. There are 31 teachings. And then I also like to go over the daily lessons at the back of this workbook. So much knowledge and wisdom in this book with me, as well as other books that I also read at the Spiritual Book Club to enhance your experience on the soul journey. Have an amazing and beautiful day. And join me this morning or whatever time you like to listen to teachings or alert with that cup of coffee, and let's get started. Thank you for watching this video. Namaste. Alright, my soul family, welcome back to our gatherings here at the Spiritual Book Club. So today we're here for chapter 6, and it's so interesting that our scheduling for filming is changing so much little by little every time I show up here. I started showing up with the first episode like at around 10-11 p.m. and then it slowly started to get past midnight, then 2 to 3 a.m. and then now we're here, and the other time it was 5 in the morning and we ended around 7:30 a.m. And now we're here at 7:30. It's already 7:30. I have my clock. It's 7:15 right now. I'm at the office. And of course, sunrise already happened, so I watched the beautiful sunrise. And this is a beautiful message from God because God is everywhere. God is in nature. God is in the light. God is in the sun. And He's wanting to show up here with us as well as with our angels, with Jesus Himself. It's almost like, oh my God, it's so interesting, the metaphor, right? Because a resurrection is almost like a sunrise. When the sunrise happens, the sun is rising out of the darkness. Exactly that, right? From the night prior. And it's coming to shine its light. And this is what the goal of A Course in Miracles is this metaphor of rising out of the darkness and into the light. And that's a miracle in and of itself, which is why there's a whole course dedicated to miracles, right? It's not necessarily about what is a miracle. That was just the intro, chapter 1. But it's what it takes to attract and achieve those miracles, because it is an achievement, believe it or not. You know, even though God creates miracles every day, we still need to put our part. And that's the hardest part, actually, is to have 100% surrender, faith, and blind trust in God. That is a difficult part. And trust me that a lot of people don't pass this test, which is why they don't get to see their miracles in life. And then they wonder why God has abandoned them, when it wasn't even God in the first place. He's always been there. It's been that person themselves blocking themselves and sabotaging these miracles. And that's also where, you know, psychotherapy comes in. That's what I do a lot during my day job. I do a lot of counseling. I've been in the psychology therapy field for 10+ years. So I know what it's like to think from that side of the intellectual part of the human brain. But then then there's also that little other spectrum of the ethers, right? The ethereal realm, the spiritual realm, and the miracles. And only, science and books can go so far, but then comes God, and that's these miracles. And that's what I'm teaching here, because I am a true, firm believer in miracles, in everything spiritual. And when I awoke on my spiritual journey, this was the first book that I was led to. And I've read many other spiritual books throughout my early 20s, all through my 20s actually, but they were nothing like this, nothing compared to A Course in Miracles. This is a game changer. And this really changed my perspective, and it even helped me to dive even deeper into the spiritual journey, because I've always been spiritual. I've always been into, the soul journey since I started the psychology career, but it was nothing like this. This has been a complete U-turn in my career, in my personal life, in the person that I've become as a soul being. And I want to endorse that to you. I want to pass that on to you by teaching you everything that I know. I've read this book already 3 to 4 times, and I have thousands of notes and bookmarks already here. And of course, all the library within my own brain of having read this book so much. I have a lot to offer in these teachings. It's more than just reading the book. I'm explaining, I'm breaking it down, I'm offering you my extra intuitive thoughts, I'm giving you examples, I'm applying it also to how it applies to your daily life. So much more. It's like a little counseling session basically every lesson. So I really hope that you continue this journey, stay diligent. Once you start, don't stop, because it's the build-up of all these lessons from one to the next. So if you stop and then decide to kind of catch up where you left off, it's not going to be the same. Every time I've read this book, those 4 times, it was a complete run through. And then one of those times it was actually in Spanish that I didn't get really to finish. And of course, as soon as I finish with this English, I will be teaching this also in Spanish from the very beginning as well. Because again, like I said, they build off each other. So you cannot skip a chapter, and you cannot think that you can just pause it and then come back like months later and it be the same effect. Alright, so enough of that for today. Let's get right into it. Chapter 6 is attack and fear. And I also want to share, as we're getting even deeper into the journey, we're just in chapter 6, so we've only had 5 gatherings. I feel like it's bringing an energy of youthfulness as well, which, the first time that I read it, I was actually very young, in my energy and in my spiritual knowledge. And I look back on those videos, and it was like a little girl trying to teach these videos, right? But I'm almost getting back to that, I feel, and that's a good thing, because we're returning to innocence, which is the whole process of healing and returning to love, right? We need to return to that inner self that is our childlike nature. Before we were hurt, before we experienced pain, before you sinned, you were a child, an innocent, pure heart. And that is our goal in reaching to these miracles and getting back into the light and becoming our best self. Alright, so today, attack and fear. Let's begin then with the introduction. Alright, the relationship of anger to attack is obvious, right? Because nobody wants to be attacked. But the inevitable association of anger and fear is not always so clear, because not everybody that's angry is necessarily fearful. Right? But fear can create anger, because if you're fearful to do things and it holds you back from doing the things you want in life, then of course it can make someone angry and frustrated, right? So anger always involves projection of separation, which must ultimately be accepted as entirely one's own responsibility. Anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked, that the attack was unjust, and you are in no way responsible. Right? If you believe that you were helpless in a situation, which is what a lot of trauma is, what a lot of attack basically in your life in any area, whatever shape or form, is usually because you are not the responsible one and you couldn't have controlled that or prevented it, right? So obviously it creates anger because it's a sense of helplessness. So giving these 3 wholly irrational premises, the equally irrational conclusion that a brother is worthy of attack rather than of love follows. So what can be expected from insane premises except an insane conclusion? The way to undo an insane conclusion is to consider the sanity of the premises on which it rests. right? What is your thought process? And from where does that belief come from? You cannot be attacked. Attack has no justification, and you are responsible for what you believe. You have been asked to take me as your model for learning. That's Jesus speaking to us. Since an extreme example is a particularly helpful learning device. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time, right? We teach by what we do, by our behavior. So this is a responsibility which he inevitably assumes the moment he accepts any premise at all. And no one can organize his life without any thought system. Once he has developed a thought system of any kind, he lives by it and teaches it, right? That's how you teach something, is by actually living through it. You have been chosen to teach the atonement precisely because you have been extreme examples of allegiance to your thought systems and therefore have developed the capacity for allegiance. It has indeed been misplaced, but it is a form of faith which you yourselves have been willing to redirect. You cannot doubt the strength of your devotion. When you consider how faithfully you have observed it, it was quite evident that you had already developed the ability to follow a better model if you could accept it. So now this brings us to section 2, the message of the crucifixion.